Good afternoon. Happy Lord's Day. Happy Sunday. We don't normally release episodes on Sundays, Pastor Gene, but today is very special in that it is Reformation Day. This is very, very exciting as we celebrate the nailing of the 95 Theses by Martin Luther. Nailed it. But as we celebrate Reformation Day, and as we have our Reformation Fall Festival today at our church, we wanted to have a short episode talking about the history of the Reformation and why it's important. I'd like to add on to it.
What does it add on? Oh, today is special because Reformation Day happens to fall also on Reformation Sunday.
Yeah.
So they're both the same day.
Double whammy. Is that the term?
Yeah, I think that's the Latin term. Yeah.
So we will be talking about the Reformation. You are listening to the Dear Church podcast. Welcome to the Dear Church podcast, where we exist to fill your ears and your minds with the study of God to see the world as disciples of Christ. And today is a special episode. So not your normal intro. Pastor Eugene, good day and happy Reformation Sunday. This is a short episode, and we wanted to keep this under 9 minutes.
You keep on saying it's a short episode. It's just an episode. And then people will realize it's short.
On the shorter side.
It's like one of those preachers go, it's going to be a short sermon, and it's never short. That's the worst. That's why we were taught when we're taking sermons, never say it's going to be a short sermon.
That's true.
Yeah.
This one will be, though, I promise. So we got to get started on this.
Since you promised.
Yeah. So Pastor Gene, what was the Reformation?
So let's start from 100 years before the Reformation.
Oh my goodness. No, we can't do this right now.
There was a guy named John Hus, right? Shinsek's nodding. He knows this is important. Anyway, yeah, for a long time, this has been coming. The Roman Catholic Church was corrupt. Even the Roman Catholic Church now recognizes it, that kind of thing. It was corrupt. And John Hus, 100 years ago, before the Reformation, so 1415 he died, but he would speak out against all the corruption. The Roman Catholic Church hated it, so what they would do is they would arrest him and they would eventually burn him at the stake in 1415. But he said something pretty prophetic, and that was, you can cook this goose, but there will be a swan that will come after that you will neither be able to like cook or boil, or something to that effect, right? Yeah, and that's when 100 years later we now see Martin Luther come on the scene, and we've talked about his story a lot, but what's really notable is that Martin Luther wanted to have a discussion or a debate, and that's how they did it back in the day.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would nail like announcements or whatever it is. The church door served as a bulletin board in a sense. So he wasn't like doing anything crazy. Like he wanted to have a civil discussion with the church leader. So he wrote up the 95 Theses, and then he nailed it on the Wittenberg church doors.
Yep.
And the reason why we know he wanted to have like a civil conversation is because it was written in.
It was written in the vernacular of the day.
No, it wasn't. That's the point.
It was written in Latin.
It was written in Latin. And that's why we know he wanted to have a discourse with the scholars. It wasn't written in German. And so what the theology students back in the day saw, because they were the ones that understood Latin.
I see.
They saw it, and then they looked at it, and then they're the ones that translated it to German and spread it all throughout Germany. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's why the whole 95 Theses spread like wildfire, because the printing press was invented then too. It just so happened to coincide. And the church had to address it.
Yep.
Because here it is, it's spreading like wildfire. And people were like, yeah, I think he's right. I think this is in the Bible. And I think it's by faith. And then all these things, right? I think we should live a repentant life. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, and that's how the Reformation started. Martin Luther didn't want to start a different sect of the church. He wanted to reform the Roman Catholic Church, but, because they refused to be reformed, you see the Protestant movement still. So in a sense, we're still protesting against the Roman Catholic Church. We're still called Protestants, right? Because
Yeah.
the Roman Catholic Church has not been reformed. So for the
Right.
last 504 years, we're still protesting in
The
a sense.
protesters.
Yeah.
So we are all fellow reformers in that regard. So this Reformation which happened in the 1500s, why is this so important today? Why do we care? Why do we celebrate it? Why do we have a fall festival named after it?
Yeah, we want to remember it. It's because of this, and we believe that the timing here is just, God ordained. This is amazing that we were able to go back to what the Bible is telling us. And because of all of this, like people who died throughout the centuries, like even like Wycliffe and people who would translate, distribute Bibles, the Reformation made it just explode, right? And it was unstoppable after that. And that's why we have like Bibles in almost every language.
Yeah.
People can read the Bible for themselves. And like even in the 1500s, like the Roman Catholic Church were afraid of giving Bibles to the people because, first of all, they were illiterate. So whatever. And so people would start to increase in their literacy rates, communities would benefit. There would be so many side benefits to this, like that would trickle down or umbrella off from this. But people got to see for themselves if, let's say, a preacher went up and said, God only helps those who helps themselves. It's in the Bible. Well,
Mm.
is it in the Bible?
Mm.
It's not.
Yeah.
God only helps themselves, though helps those who help themselves is not in the Bible.
Yep.
But you can see it for yourself now. You literally have one in front of you. And we see now in 2021 this massive movement against people holding the Bible. Like, was it the CCP? China has banned Bibles from the iPhones. They told Apple to take it off the Apple Store, the App Store. So in China, and Apple said, yeah, sure, we'll take the Bibles off of the App Store. So in China, if you have an Apple phone, you can't download the Bible.
Wow.
In Afghanistan, they looked at your phone, and
Yep.
that's how they found out if you're a Christian or not. If you had a Bible app, they would drag you out and torture, kill you. So yeah, people hate the Bible, and people will not just discriminate. You'll see you are seeing massive persecution against those who would hold to the Bible and its tenets.
Thank you for that reminder. I think, as today is October 31st, I pray that we would not just be getting dressed up to go eat candy, but that we would, because that's kind of tough, I think. Celebrating Halloween is a little tough. That's a hot take, by the way, but
Oof, all these kids are dressing up with their costumes, and now you're just judging.
no, I'm not judging. I'm just saying they probably shouldn't. No, they definitely shouldn't do that.
I mean, what's the key of the Reformation? Like, the key of the Reformation is sola scriptura.
Yeah.
And so let's not forget, this is where our conscience is bound. It's bound in the Word of God. And so let's continue on adhering to what it teaches.
Thank you for that reminder. It gives Christians something to celebrate on October 31st while the secular world, celebrates Halloween.
You said this wouldn't be a long one, but we should get into it a little bit, right?
Halloween?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's Halloween? Why this Celtic Druidian tradition has
Like
been passed
Samhain
down
or something, right?
Yeah.
So this is not just from the top of the head for me. This is from listening to Al Mohler's podcast this morning. However, Halloween is a poor reconstruction of the word Hallows Eve. And it's the day before All Saints Day on November 1st. And interestingly enough, November 1st is the day that I believe we celebrate the resurrection of the saints, right? Or the resurrection
Yeah. All Saints Day
is November 1st.
All Hallows Day. Yeah.
And All Hallows Eve is the day before. So October 31st, the genesis, as they say, of Halloween could be, I think, traced back to just very secular paganistic rituals towards the Lord of Death. I think in England and the Great Britain, the great, what is that called? The United Kingdom.
The Great Kingdom. You mean Great Britain
Great
and
Britain
United Kingdom? You
and
mixed it
her
up.
isles.
Mhm.
Yeah. Could you just give us a better? This was all from memory.
I mean, it has its pagan roots. I think it really became big. And again, this is also from what I've studied over the last few years. It's you know, it's a few hundred years old. It
Yeah.
became really popular like 300 years ago, in places like Great Britain. But yeah, I mean, the Reformation happened 504 years ago, so it was before that.
Yep.
But it does draw upon like Celtic traditions, the Druids, that you talked about Samhain, but it's where we chase away evil spirits for the harvest.
Yes.
By dressing up as evil spirits, or we. There's two, I think. The other one is we dress up as evil spirits so the evil spirits get confused and don't harm us because they think we're one of them.
Got them.
So there's a bunch of these pagan roots.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know why they do things. I think that's the point. You don't know why you're dressing up, right? You just think it's a fun costume day,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see it has its roots in paganism. And so there will be parents who still want to do it because it's fun, or what's the big harm? And there will be parents who say, I can see the harm because its roots are evil and I don't want to do this for my kid. And then they'll have to face the wrath of the kid, I guess, because the kid wants to really dress up as Spider-Man or whatever it is. And what are you going to not let them? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think this is on the conscience of the parents. Really, it is. I wouldn't judge parents that do it. I wouldn't judge parents that don't. I would actually commend parents that can say that we're not going to dress up our kids, period, because you'd probably be in the vast minority.
Yeah.
So in our area, I think every single person dresses up, kid, adult, whatever. And there's like Halloween parties. And it's just Sam that doesn't dress up.
No, I was a turtle once.
Were you a teenager?
No, I was a turtle like a couple years back, but
just
no
a
more.
regular turtle. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just no more.
Yeah, so it's just I think people want to be consistent with their worldview, and they want to test everything. And if there's no benefit to it, let's not do it. So people are thinking along those lines. And so I mean, that's one of those things. Like every single one of my neighbors has like ghouls and spider webs on their front yard.
Yeah.
Except my house.
So
my house is clean. Yeah, it's dirty, but not like Halloween dirty.
Spiritually clean.
Hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
Spiders are an interesting thing because they're pretty helpful critters, but they get
I
a bad
actually
rap.
do like. Yeah.
You got bit by a spider the other day.
I get bit by them often, but it's all good. They're good for you. I'm the original Spider-Man.
That was a very short episode. Would you say it not?
What?
We thank you for listening to this episode of the Dear Church podcast. Join us tomorrow as we continue our discussion on church officers, the elders. It'll be a great time. So we'll meet you back here again on All Saints Day. So as always, and until the end of time, we love you. We miss you. Bye. Happy Reformation Day.